Whoever wrote the formula for win probability in baseball obviously never saw the Guardians 2024 bullpen coming. Every time the bullpen door swings open, their odds go up just a little and little more.
Tanner Bobby of the Guardians, and you're listening to Locked On Guardians.
You are Locked On Guardians, your daily podcast on the Cleveland Guardians. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to the show today. Today's episode is brought to you by our good friends at FanDuel. Ooh, say that 3 times fast. Now through September 22nd, all FanDuel customers can bet $5 and get a 3-week free trial of NFL Sunday Ticket from YouTube TV and YouTube. Visit FanDuel.com to get started today.
On today's Locked On Guardians, the bullpen that's the best in baseball somehow keeps getting better. We'll talk about Martinez and Quan and that whole situation, talk about playoff schedule. We'll get into all the minor league stuff we missed from yesterday as well. And the Guardians' magic number to clinch the division title is 7. I think they can clinch a playoff spot by winning
one game
today. One game.
One
they
game
just
away.
Win. Just win, and they're in. Win, and you're in. That'll work.
No, 100%. For those who do not know me, I'm one of your 2 co-hosts here, Jeff Ellis, one of the original MLB Locked On co-hosts. Before that, I was a lead draft and prospect analyst nationally at Scouting 24/7. And before that, I was your 21st favorite blogger at every Cleveland sports blog that has or will exist.
That will exist. He can predict the future. He can predict the Guardians are going to make the playoffs, even though we can't say it's a guarantee.
I could say it's a guarantee. I got in trouble for saying that today. Like, it's guaranteed.
Apparently you did. I'm Justin Ladd, other co-host. I have been covering the Guardians minor league system since 2007. Previously the editor of Guardians Baseball Insider, currently freelance at the News Herald in the Morning Journal as well, where I've covered many a relief prospect in the day. I've seen Cade Smith. I've seen Hunter Gaddis in the minors, not as a reliever. I've never seen anybody like Andrew Walters. I've never seen anybody like Emmanuel Clase. I did see Tim Herrin. I saw James Karinchak. I'm trying to think of other relievers I saw that felt like can't miss. Who was the Bryce Stoll? I thought Bryce Stoll was a big time reliever, and it just never panned out for Bryce Stoll. But
Bryce Stoll was in that Sean Armstrong of class for me.
Yeah, he was.
I was a big Cam Hill mark.
Sean Armstrong. Yeah, Cam Hill was a good prospect for sure.
Cody Allen was my first one. Like, I was really high on him. He was the first player to ever follow me on Twitter before he deleted his account. Yeah, I remember that. That was kind of a fun moment. And then he followed me and decided he followed me and then decided I don't need to be on this site anymore.
That's fair. Yeah, I think smart people delete their social media accounts. Yeah. We're just not that smart, unfortunately. We stick around for the punishment. We stuck around long enough to watch the Guardians bullpen do its thing, and the offense came around just in time. I mean, I was there on Monday night, and I got to tell you, it was a pretty silent night. It's not quite Christmas, not a big Christmas, but it was a pretty silent night at the ballpark. Only they say 17,000 were there. I'm going to guess it was more like 12, maybe 13. It was pretty lightly attended game, and they didn't have much to cheer about, not much to get excited about until Kyle Manzardo hit that home run. But man, every time you thought that next guy walks to the bullpen door, it's Pedro Vila who walked to bat and give up a hit, and then it was like, it didn't look pretty, but it got the job got done. Eric Sabrowski came in to fill some innings when Matthew Boyd couldn't get out of the 3rd inning. He gave a walk and a hit, no damage. Eli Morgan continues to come in, and he only gave up a hit. And after that, it was close enough where he went to Andrew Walters and got enough runs just in time to go to Emmanuel Clase again. So the Guardians bullpen covers 6 1/3 innings without Cade Smith, without Tim Herrin, without Hunter Gaddis, and they give up 3 hits and 2 walks, and they hang around just enough for the offense to come back against the
best reliever in baseball.
The best reliever in baseball. The very distant second best reliever in baseball. It's not even close, man. Like I
listen, Griffin Jackson's great. He's great, but I'm making fun of course, that tweet that occurred right before this. But I mean, his numbers are spectacular. Let's not make light.
That was great.
He has been a top 10
of that tweet.
It was. I mean, listen, he's a top 10 reliever in baseball this year. I'm not going to debate that. Maybe even top 5. But when you got Class A and you are just obviously trolling because you're a jerk, it was just like it was a moment of beauty. For those who don't know, there's a terrible Twins account who managed to, like, literally minutes before Kyle Manzardo's just unbelievable home run, put out a tweet saying, Griffin Jack's best reliever in baseball, full stop. And it was hilarious.
Is his account, is he like the reverse of when bad things happen in the world and Nick Castellanos hits a home run? Is that what he does? He tweets things and then bad things happen. Like, there's also that account on Twitter that were images that preceded unfortunate events, and it's whatever happens. Is he like the reverse of Nick Castellanos, where he tweets something and the inverse just automatically happens? Like,
I just know that as someone who is disliked by Twins fans and other fans. So that's why I'm not going to bother stating his name. He's awful.
Yeah, fair.
And we've already given him enough time, but like, on top of, like, hey, congratulations, Andrew Walters, first major league win. Like, there's a lot of fun with this. And again, like, man, we'll spend some time with Manzardo, but that's right now for me, I'm sure it's 100% recency bias, but that's like the best home run of the year. Just like the joy that home run brought. Like, you saw it with Stephen Vogt in the post game. I felt it as it was happening. Like, if you can't be giddy after watching that game and that comeback, either your heart is not working and you need to have a Grinch moment, or you need to figure out if you actually like baseball and like this team.
Yeah, like you were saying, there was a lot of negativity. And look, I know people get mad about this. The offense, it ain't pretty.
No.
And we said it yesterday on the show. Like, how many runs does this team need to score for a bullpen to carry them? And apparently it's 4. I mean, all year it's been 4 runs, right? Like, that's been the magic number for this team, is score 4 runs and get a lead to the bullpen. And they didn't even get a lead to the bullpen until it was Emmanuel Clase. And at that point, that was the Twins' heart of the order. And Clase comes in on 12 pitches and shuts them down. Andrew Walters only needed 8 pitches. Like, the guy hit his hiccups in AAA when he got there, ironed it out, and now he's in the major leagues facing, the Twins lineup is not a bad lineup. They can score runs. I think he came in against he got Vasquez, Castro, and then Matt Wallner pinch hit. Matt Wallner, by the way, is having a
great year.
Especially the second half. He has been an unbelievable hitter for them. Popped up to the catcher. I mean, Andrew Walters, I think, makes it a big 5. You can go to Walters. You go to Cade Smith right away. You got Walters, you got Herrin, you got Gaddis, and then you go to Clase whenever there's a lead or if it's a tie game. At this point, it's just keep it close. Like, I multiple times I was going to text you during the game, and I was going to say the way Pedro Avila was throwing the ball, and he threw 37 pitches, 20 for strikes. It was not pretty. It was almost 50-50, and I was like, Pedro Avila can't be on the postseason roster. Like, and he might not be. I don't know. But, like, I was just sitting there thinking, like, oh, man, their bullpen's going to have to cover a lot of this game. I don't know. All you're doing is hoping to get through this game without having to burn one of your big names in a loss. And when you can bring Andrew Walters into a game you're losing to keep it close, and Eli Morgan, like, we have not spent a whole lot of time.
Needs more time.
We have not really given Eli Morgan his due. I mean, there's a lot of people who have commented and
he's been as good as the big 4 in the second half. He legitimately, like, you're saying Walters makes 5. Walters might make 6 with the way that Morgan is playing. Like, go look at his Savant page. It's a lot of red. Like, credit where it's due. Eli Morgan,
that's about it.
Yeah. Eli Morgan's been really, really good, and it's probably the least talked about story with this bullpen.
Yeah, I mean, it looked like for Morgan especially, too. I mean, Andrew Walters got his first win in this game, but it looked like for Morgan, this was going to be a lost year for him, right? Remember, he went on the IL twice in the first half with elbow issues, and he just kept saying something wasn't right with his arm, and it's like, well, he's probably going to have Tommy John, and every time he came out the IL, he was just not – he didn't look right. Like, remember that Colorado series he pitched in? He just didn't look right.
I mean, he'd be 99th percentile in expected ERA, in average exit velocity, in chase percentage, in barrel percentage, and hard hit percentage, which is crazy because this is a guy known for being very home run prone. Like, he's a different guy.
He doesn't miss a lot of bats. Yeah, he doesn't miss a lot of bats.
Yeah.
But he throws strikes. The changeup makes him platoon agnostic. He can throw the slider. He doesn't miss his spots, which is good. He keeps the ball on the ground. 293 FIP in the second half. And this is a guy we've talked about in the past who generally is not a good second half pitcher. Now, maybe some of that is because he didn't end up pitching a lot in the first half. So maybe he saved his best for the second half. But that's what they've needed, right? They've needed every one of these guys. Sabrowski, we thought Sabrowski was going to be a guy who was up for one a couple of days.
Yeah, like ghosts.
Yeah, and he's stuck so far. He's looked really good and gave them, 5 outs tonight in this win. By the way, Cleveland this year scoring 4 runs or more. They are 73-13. That's the formula. Score 4 runs and win. They were trailing in the 7th inning. They improved their record trailing from the 7th inning after to 2-23 at home and 3-56 overall. So trailing in the 7th inning, they were 2-56. So they really did pull the rabbit out. But if you just keep it close, if you just get the starting pitcher, which by any means necessary, Matthew Boyd just didn't quite have it. He had chances to get deeper. Like he had, he walked Carlos Correa in 4 pitches. There was he was
0-2 on Ryan Jeffers. Like that's the one that stands out to me. The 0-2 on Ryan Jeffers,
and that's what fell apart. Yeah.
Yeah.
So we keep saying get to the bullpen. With the game close, you don't necessarily mean that in the 3rd inning, but it worked. The bullpen came in. The Twins stopped hitting, and really, the Twins would have scored anyway. I was going to say that they scored 2 runs because of the umpire getting in the way of Andres Jimenez there, which thankfully he avoided serious injury.
Yeah.
But then Boyd came back and gave up a hit after that, so that run would have scored anyway. So all that in 1 inning for the Twins. And I was texting with some friends, and it was like, why does a 3-0 lead seem insurmountable? Well, it wasn't, because the bullpen keeps it close enough where no lead is, they may not do it, but they're gonna keep it close enough where the other team's gonna have to get 10 outs, and they had just enough offense to get it done. We'll talk more about the offense, Kyle Manzardo. We'll talk about Angel Martinez's role and Stephen Kwan's health. We'll get into Tuesday's matchup. And we'll get into some unfortunate minor league news for one player and playoff games tonight for others in the Guardians system, all coming up.
But first, let's talk Prize Picks. I was heading over to Prize Picks right now to kind of look at their board, but Prize Picks, it's pretty simple. You're picking more or less on 2 to 6 stat categories, and through the month of September, they're giving you a gimme. And what does that mean? It means that they are saying that you just have to go and do Caleb Williams will have more than 1 passing yard. It's that simple. Like, if you think that's true, you click more. And no matter how poor he has been, you're pretty much guaranteed that. I'm sorry, they've made it 0.5 passing yards. It's even better. If he gets more than half a passing yard, you're golden. How do you feel about Cleveland's defense? Do you think Daniel Jones will get more than 193.5 passing yards? If we went and switched to baseball, we could do all sorts of fun things like this. But instead, let's talk about their big promo. So not only are they giving you a free win, 2 to 6 stat categories, 2, you got 1 free, just do the other one, but they're also giving you free money. So download the Prize Picks app today, use the code LOCKEDONMLB and get $50 instantly when you play 5. That's code LOCKEDONMLB on Prize Picks to get $50 instantly when you play 5. You don't even need to win to receive the $50 bonus. It's guaranteed. Prize Picks. Run your game.
Check out Locked On MLB, our pal Sully, after you're done listening to us. And thank you for making us your first listen today and every day, wherever you get podcasts. Thanks for being an everydayer. Be an everydayer of our pal Sully at Locked On MLB, covering the Guardians' comeback win over the Twins, closing in on clinching the AL Central. The Tigers making a run at the wild card. The White Sox are cutting payroll in the offseason. Chris Getz says, I'm sure Sully will love to pile on the White Sox more over there. If you just want all those storylines, good or bad, hilarious, painful, fun, whatever, check it all out at
what payroll? MLB. Who are they going to get rid of on that team? No one's taking Andrew Bennett's Henny off your hand. The largest contract ever given out in the history of that franchise. That's what we call a poverty franchise, or as much as everyone wants to rail against Cleveland. There is a clear bottom 2 owners in baseball. I'm just going to keep stating
Didn't you say there was a moment on the White Sox broadcast a few weeks ago that their broadcaster said that they would have a better rotation than Cleveland next year in April? Not mid-season, but April.
No, early on, like that they thought the rotation would be better in Cleveland's, just because of all their young arms coming up. Because again, rotation, as we know, rotation development is one of those things you can just bank on. Guys get better. Guys always
every
get
year
better.
they get better. They don't get hurt, and they're always taking steps forward. Nothing bad ever happens to pitching prospects. No, Jerry Reinsdorf must be paying excellent money for broadcasters these days, which is why Jason Benetti obviously left for Detroit. Right? That's how that worked.
I'm not gonna touch that one, but yeah, that was bad.
That's pretty bad. I did listen to Jason Benetti call the final inning or final couple of innings for Detroit beating the Royals, and I gotta say that broadcast is top tier. They were using strikeout rate, walk rate, and what did I say? They're using opponent OPS.
Yeah. Wasn't it like whip?
Yeah, inherited runners scored.
Yeah,
they were using some awesome fun stats in their broadcast. Speaking of fun stats, Kyle Manzardo really changed this game twice. Obviously, hit the game-winning, the go-ahead home run in the 8th inning, but that walk in the 7th inning, and that was the first walk of the game, by the way. Was that the only walk of the game? No, it was. I'm sorry, Griffin Jacks or Caleb Thielbar ended up walking somebody later in the game, but that was the first walk of the night issued, I think, by Pablo Lopez. And that's really what you need from Manzardo, right? This team is a team full of guys who chase and hack, and we always talk about how there's not enough discipline on this team in terms of, at bats and walking. Kyle Manzardo is exactly. I'm not saying he is going to be the best version of himself. I would hope he's not the best version of himself at 24. And
whenever it is,
with 50 career at bats or whatever it is, or 100 career at bats, whatever he's got at this point. But his skill set, we've been talking about this for a while now, is exactly what they need. They need a guy, and you might even say Kyle Manzardo is somewhat passive at times, like he just doesn't swing a whole lot. And obviously when he does, it's pretty good. Like he hit that fastball from Griffin Jacks, but it's a guy they need, the guy who can actually draw walks. And even if he is on the side of being passive just a little bit, I'll take that for this offense when you've got guys like Josh Naylor and Andres Jimenez and Brian Roque walks, I guess, a little bit. Will Brennan, all these guys, and even Jose Ramirez sometimes, especially this year, it just swings way too often at pitches that even if they're not striking out, they just can't do any damage with. Manzardo really is looking for pitches that he can do damage with, and that's what ended up happening late in the game. But he had the walk, and he ended up scoring on the sac fly. Or was it a hit? Was it a hit that he scored on? It's at the game. You'd think I would know. Either way, he scored the second.
I was doing bedtime, so I already had off air. I had one mistake about. I talked about a player playing who didn't even play in the game. So
that's right. I forgot we had that whole discussion. Yeah, I'm sorry. Martinez singled in the 7th inning, and Manzardo scored, and then Martinez later got thrown out at third. But that's okay. So Manzardo had 2 game-changing at bats in this one: the first walk of the night, and then the home run. And yeah, that's a skill set that Cleveland just really needs. They haven't had all season long, and since Manzardo has been up in the second half, it's a 133 WRC plus. He's not walking a ton in the second half. It's only a 6% walk rate, but hey, 515 slug, and he did it right there off of the 3rd best reliever in baseball.
He is
the 3rd best reliever, by the way, by WAR.
He did it off a horse. Like he did it off of a top shelf guy. And that fastball is an incredibly, highly graded pitch this year. So, I mean, that's the stuff I want to see. I don't want to see, if this guy's going to be a central part. And you and I both had him as the number 1 prospect in the offseason, as I recall, right? It's like, if you and I are that high on him and we think middle of the order bat, you want to see him be able to do the damage against the best of the best. And that's what he did. And that's why, as much as we make fun of certain other things, like this is incredibly encouraging. I mean, he smoked it. First pitch, he saw it up and he just went whack. I mean, it was breathtaking.
I love too, going back to some other scouting reports. And again, not to, we were obviously higher on him, but It was 108 off the bat, and I remember reading scouting reports earlier in the
power.
season. It was below average power. It was fringe average power. 108 and 407. That's if that's not average, that's above average. Like it's pretty darn close to both. Like it's pretty darn close to above average. And all I think he's going to need is average power because he's going to be able to hit extra base hits, whether they're doubles or homers. Obviously,
his emotion in
but
like just from the moment that he and Naylor hugged it home to how he reacted in the dugout, the way everyone reacted, like that's one other reason that it's really easy to love this team. Like it's not a bunch of mercenaries. It's not a bunch of this is a team, capital T team. You can see the tightness. You can see how excited they're jumping up and down. Like it's a fun squad.
The power of friendship is more powerful than the Twins bullpen and Griffin Jackson.
Power of heart.
On their fastball. Power of heart.
There's a reference. Put in the comments. What if I'm doing this? Power of heart. One. Yeah, someone in the comments will get it.
I do not have that one. That is over my head. Angel Martinez also had 3 hits in this one, and wasn't always pretty. The first double he had though was a pitch that definitely wasn't a strike. We'll take it though. Kind of wonder what Martinez's role is when Quan comes back. So I saw Mandy Bell tweeted that, or no, it was not Mandy Bell. It was Tom Weathers of the AP said that the back for Quan is feeling better. And certainly the back injury I talked about yesterday is hopefully an indicator of what has been happening to him a little bit. And he'll be better once the back is healed. And he says he's feeling better. And this is 4 straight days for Quan missing right now. Good move to get Martinez up here because honestly, like even for a guy who's chasing a lot and has had his struggles, like I know there was a lot of people who wanted to call him back up and just stick him at the top of the order. Obviously, this is more out of necessity than him forcing his way back up. I feel like there's a fit for him somewhere on this team when Quan is healthy and back at the top of the order. Like I still think there's somewhere you can put Martinez, and maybe that's in a pinch runner role. He can certainly play the infield. I don't know if he's a shortstop, but he can play somewhere in the infield if you need him to. I don't mind setting up there as a pinch hitter because he does make a decent amount of contact, even for a guy who chases a lot, and he has more thump than Tyler Freeman, right? Like he's a guy, who obviously is back in AAA here. I think that shows you too. I think where Cleveland's at, right, is that when Quan went down earlier in the year, it was Freeman who led off and played the outfield every day, and that got him by for a while. But with Quan being out, hopefully it looks like short term. Instead of going back to Freeman doing that, they sent him down and brought up Martinez. So I think that says a lot about where Martinez is for them, and also says a lot where Freeman is for them, unfortunately too. But I still think there's a role for Martinez even after Quan gets back in the lineup, despite his current flaws.
Yeah, I mean I struggle where I'd rank Martinez in the top 10 ranks because like ceiling wise, there's so much fun there, but it's a lot of the same stuff we talk about with Noel, right? Like there's a lot of that same risk right now. But I agree. You can find a role for him. I know one of our everydayers, I think his name is Charles. I'm sorry, dude, if I got it wrong. Has been screaming for this for months. So go ahead and crow in the comments and take your moment. Because it was a solid game outside of me like pulling out my hair when he got, thrown out at third.
Yeah, that did take him out of a rally. They had he had Jose coming up would have been 2 on and 2 out. It would have been a big moment. Luckily they didn't come back to burn them too badly, thanks to Josh Naylor finally came through. We were waiting all night for him to come through with something, and he did. And then Manzardo came up with something as well. All right, we'll talk a little bit about minor leagues we didn't get into on Monday, so we got a lot of stuff to talk about down in the minors. The Captains and the RubberDucks both have playoff games coming up today. We got more Columbus baseball. One guy who will not be playing for Columbus anytime soon we'll have to get into as well.
Go ahead and guess. You'll probably be right.
It's going to be a sticky situation in the offseason, so stick around for that. The time is closing in to take advantage of this great deal from FanDuel. You have until this Sunday's game. So coming up this Sunday, if you want to get all the out-of-market Sunday games, get in on the action, get a 3-week free trial, and enjoy some out-of-market football. We've talked a lot about FanDuel on this podcast. Obviously, America's #1 sportsbook. Until this Sunday, September 22nd, all FanDuel customers can bet $5. Any FanDuel customer, not a new customer, any of them. Just bet $5 and you get a 3-week free trial of NFL Sunday Ticket from YouTube and YouTube TV. With a YouTube TV base plan, you can watch every regular season Sunday afternoon out-of-market game. All you need is a Google account and a form of payment. You can cancel us anytime. So even if you just want it for 3 weeks, if you want to watch some of these games, you have a favorite team you're not able to see and market. If you're like me and you want to follow your fantasy football team, watch a couple games at one time and just enjoy that, or throw things at your TV. I don't know. Whatever, however you want to do it, just enjoy it. Go on FanDuel, bet $5, get a 3-week free trial of NFL Sunday Ticket from YouTube and YouTube TV. Just visit FanDuel.com and download America's #1 sportsbook. 6:40 on Tuesday night. Check out Guardians and Twins round 2, or should I say this is round 11? Because the Guardians are 8-2 against the Twins this year. All the action on your SiriusXM app. Search Guardians.
Twins have been their little brothers. Speaking of little and brothers and things like that, happy birthday, Jose Ramirez, whose little brother was once in the system. He will. His birthday is the 17th when the show will be. So he is
this magic number 30 for Jose?
He is historically, hasn't he hit a bunch of home runs on his birthday? I feel like I could be wrong in that, but
this is 33 for Jose. Wow,
yeah.
He's gonna be 33 today. Or I'm sorry, 32. It already updated on Fangraphs. He'll be 32 today.
Yeah, I think he's had a lot of success on his birthday. I could be wrong, but that is in my head that dude has done well on his birthday.
I do not have that off the top of my head, so someone who's looking that up, feel free to check that out for us. I don't know, but hopefully he has a good day on his birthday. He'll be facing Zebby Matthews, and Gavin Williams will be opposing for the Guardians.
He hit his 31st home run last year on his birthday. So
when he turned 31, what can he hit number 36 on his? If he hits 36 on his 36 on his.
Or I'm sorry, he homered on his 31st birthday for the Guardians to beat the Rangers 9-2. That must have been that final their second sweep of the year a year ago when they did that.
Yeah, it was the Rangers series. Yeah. So he could steal base number 40. That's a big one. He's already passed his career high in steals. And he could tie his career high in home run. No, 36 is his 39 is his high. As long as he has a 4 home run day, no milestones except for anything. Yeah, no milestones for Jose on his final day. Minor League Monday, we didn't get to stuff on Monday, obviously. I think we're going to revamp that because honestly, talking about a weekend full of games is kind of hard for us to get into the minor league. So we might revamp that at some point. We're actually discussing a lot of things that we could change with the show. We might be sending out a survey soon. So if you want to take a survey about Locked On Guardians, just promise to be nice or constructive when we send that out. I know the internet's full of people who are not nice these days sometimes, but you're all nice to us. You're all going to give us great feedback on what we do well and what we don't do well and what you want more of. George Valera, would like to see George Valera more healthy. Unfortunately, he was placed on the injured list with what the Guardians initially called a right knee sprain. And I was like, oh, well, he avoided serious injury. Well, it turns out he is having surgery for a torn patella in his knee, and that is going to be about a 6 to 9 month recovery for George Valera. Yeah. And this is, for all the times George Valera has missed, this is his most serious injury. Like he's had a hamate injury, which isn't great for a power hitter or any hitter, but it's a quick recovery for the most part, other than just playing through pain and trying to get the feel back for your wrist. He's had oblique issues. He's had hamstring issues. Nothing like super serious, right? Like all surgery is serious, but if hamate is your worst, you're in good shape.
He's the king of like consistent minor injuries.
Mm-hmm. Unfortunately, this is a major one. So, best wishes to George Valera on recovery. Great kid. I had a chance to talk to him multiple times when he was in Lake County, and it's hard not to root for him because he's worked very hard to get where he is. He's, his dad put a lot of time in with him. He fought to get signed in the first place and just trained. Like his career has been unbelievable. Our buddy Pat Ellington wrote a good story for Guardians Baseball Insider. I think you could still find it on his own site. Just talking about how hard George and his dad had to work just to get a tryout, just to get trained by somebody to get noticed. So it's a very unfortunate story for George, just because he's really had to overcome a lot of odds to get where he is. And he was probably on the cusp of being a big, getting a big league shot this year. And he had the injury in spring training, and then he missed part of the year this year. And now going into next year, it's going to be very hard.
Every year is like the problem.
Yeah.
But in spite of that, he's never missed enough time to get another option year. So he doesn't have options. The minute he gets healthy, he can do a rehab assignment. Then he's got to make the roster, be DFA'd. I think there is a very good chance they look to trade him. I think they would have traded. I know last offseason you bet they would trade him. I just think there's little to get, if we are being perfectly honest. I think that's why he's still here, is they could never net much. So there's also a chance that he gets designated for assignment this offseason. Like, there's a legitimate chance that happens.
Yeah, I guess it depends on how they handle the 40-man roster over the winter. Like, the problem with him being designated for assignment is they're going to have to trade him because he's not going to clear waivers. And be re-signed to the minor leagues if you do that.
No.
So you're going to have to trade him. You essentially fall into like the Cal Quantrill trade where you're just trading him. I know that was a salary dump, but like you're essentially trading him for like, you're going to get like the equivalent of Cody Huff back. You're going to get the equivalent.
That's all you were going to get for him probably anyways, right? Like, it's been a rough enough year.
This past winter, you could have got more for him because you still had an option.
Like, if you could, I think they would have. Because even when he was healthy and playing this year, they didn't give him an opportunity. I think teams don't want to trade for broken down pieces. Like, they don't trade much for guys with big injury histories. You don't see a lot of guys get flipped. Like, Esteban Florio wasn't about health, it's about lack of production. Like, guys who are continually hurt just don't get flipped. We don't see them get moved. And I just don't think there is. I'm not saying he'll pass through waivers. He won't. Someone will take the chance. But I think a guy like this. And I always thought there was a bit of a hole in the swing. I'm curious to see like him face better competition and see. But for a guy who has to make your roster, who has been unable to show any degree, who has missed half the season, almost every season, like, no one's going to get value for that. You're going to get less than Cody Huff. He has less value than Cal Quantrill had.
Yeah, because at least Cal Quantrill has major league success you can go back and bank on, where Valera has not had a shot. Hey, Ben Lively was the king of no options this year, and he made it work. So maybe George Valera does. I don't know. I mean, I'd hate to trade him and end up in the. I know everyone's going to say Anthony Santander. And it's like,
it was a different situation.
It was
such a different.
People really overlook. I know there's a lot of people out there who are like, well, they should have rostered him. It's like, yeah, they should have, but at the same time. Yeah. There was very little chance that he was going to. I don't know. The odds were very against him.
I at the time I said I wanted them to roster him, but at the same time, it's like the way these stories are so incredibly different. Is one is a guy who's out of options. The other was a guy who had a checkered health history in A-ball.
They both have checkered health history.
I know, but Santander, it's not like you were gonna. If he got through the draft, you're keeping him. This is a guy who has no options left. They have nothing they can do with him. This isn't a player in the other regard. And Santander's health history was actually, I think, a little bit better. It was just the one injury at the wrong time. So I feel like, yeah, I saw that as well, but it feels like a bad comping.
Yeah, I mean, there were multiple elbow issues with Santander that eventually led to the Tommy John and all that kind of stuff. But at this point, though, you're talking about Valera not having any value through a trade, which I agree with. And at that point, I'd rather just keep him because he's more valuable to see if you can get something out of him at some point next year. If you're
going to add him to the roster. I mean, that's the thing, though. It's like, how do you add him?
Well, he's going to have to go through rehab. You'll get 60 days in the minor, 30 days in the minors with him on the IL. He'll work his way back, and it'll be like the Gio Urshela, Eric Gonzalez thing, where maybe you keep one and see what happens. I don't know. If you're not going to get anything for him, considering the time and money you've invested in him at this point, I would rather see them hold on to him and give him a shot. See what happens. It kind of
feels like the gambler's fallacy. Like, we keep expecting he's due for good health. He's due for, like, he does not seem capable.
He's due for good health. I'm just saying that
if he can't have, like, is there any risk to a guy who can't stay healthy? At the same time, you're like, well, I'd hate to, with all the investment. You've already done the investment. Don't keep throwing good money at bad just because you're already down. Like, it's the gambler's fallacy, right? Like, you keep betting because you're down and you need to get back up. It's like, he's not going to stay healthy. He's never going to be able to contribute because he's never going to be able to stay healthy. You can't count on him to do anything because you can't count on him.
I don't know. To me, it makes no sense at this point with his value being so low to let him walk for getting less than nothing. I think you just rather see if it can work at all. And if he gets hurt again, he gets hurt again. Like, at that point, I don't know what you do if you have to outright him off the roster because of injuries or whatever, but I think it's better than just trading him for nothing, considering, again, you do have money and time invested in him. I think it's worth one last, ditch effort to see what he can get, because it's
not the last
what
3 years
you're
saying that
back.
Though. That's the exact same thing from the last 3 years.
But he was never out of options before.
I know, but so we've been like, well, he's going to be out of options, so we got to know this year. And then next year, it's like, oh, it's his final option year. We got to, but we've never been able to get there because he can't get healthy. Like, I just think you're chasing the dragon.
Now you're forced to make a decision to put him on the roster. So he has to either get a shot or you do nothing. So I don't know. It to me, like I said, in the offseason, he's got no value because he's hurt. And you might as well go to spring training with him, or not even spring training because he won't be ready. But you might as well go the full rehab with him next year. And if you're in a situation where you can't add him or, whatever, it's better for him to be hurt in Cleveland's system and then trade him and then get nothing for him and watch him, do anything somewhere else. Okay, so George Valera, best of luck there. Cleveland's probably not going to get a fourth option year on him, despite all of his injuries. He is
no
not.
Chance.
You have to be on an active roster in the minors less than 90 days in one season, just not consecutively, one season, to qualify for a fourth option year. For all of his injuries, we just said, like, he's had multiple injuries, but he's never missed a significant amount of time. Usually you see guys with a fourth option year, that's usually pitchers. Sam Henches had one. There's other examples. Usually it ends up being a pitcher for that reason. I think Dylan Baker had that 1 year. I don't know. Dylan Baker, former captain. Tugboat for the Captains is going to go Tuesday. Again, I'll be out of Lake County tonight, so if you're around, you see me, say, hey, Captain's got to win that one to keep the season alive. Tugboat gives him a pretty good chance. They win a lot of his starts because he just doesn't allow runs. We'll see if they get enough offense. They certainly didn't on Sunday. So Akron also is going to be at Erie for a game, or are they at home on Tuesday for a game against Erie, which is Detroit system. That should be Austin Peterson starting game one, I think, or Parker Messick. Austin Peterson ends the 2024 season, minor league season, leading all of the minor leagues among qualified pitchers and innings pitched. Does that really mean anything? Like, oh, great, you pitched the most innings in the minors out of anybody. That's great. It means he was healthy and he was good enough to keep pitching a lot of innings because he didn't have to be taken out early. That's good. I don't know if the innings necessarily mean anything, but it definitely was a step forward for Peterson this year. Austin Peterson, does he make a start for Cleveland in 2025?
Yes. So you're going to have to roster him anyways. And, he's got extension and command.
We mean next. Well, no.
At the end of the season.
At the end of next year, yes.
Yeah, so you're going to have to roster him anyways at the end of the year. He's got durability, he's got extension, he's got command, and he's always missed bats. So we'll see. I believe in him.
He didn't miss bats last year, which is why I kind of fell off on him. Like, he didn't miss a lot of bats.
It's the one time he didn't. Like, he missed him in college, and he's missing him again. So I'm really buying.
It took us that last step forward. I agree. Tristan McKenzie has been piggybacking in Columbus twice now. I don't know if it's a thing yet. We'll see. He was pretty good last week in one outing, and he was good in the second one, but not as great as the first one. We'll see if it's a thing. I don't even know. Like, I'm intrigued by the idea of adding him to the playoff bullpen or adding whatever. But if Eli Morgan and Andrew Walters and Cade Smith and Hunter Gaddis and Tim Herrin and Manuel Clase aren't enough,
you don't got a spot for him.
And we just talked there about Joey Cantillo. Like, Joey Cantillo, Eli Morgan could be in the bullpen, or Cantillo could be in the bullpen. And you got Walters, and you got Smith, you got Herrin. I don't know. Maybe there's not enough room. Logan Allen came in behind an opener the other day too, which I thought was interesting. So maybe they're trying to figure out something with Allen. He came out of the bullpen behind somebody. That might be his best spot forward, honestly, as a bulk guy. That might be his best role going forward. I don't know. It's a lost season for him. He better figure some things out in the offseason because it's been a rough one for him. Jeff will be solo tomorrow on Wednesday's show because I'll be at Lake County. We'll see if the Guardians can put the Twins down once and for all, clinch a playoff spot. I'll give Jeff some stuff from Lake County to use, and then he'll talk Akron playoff as well.
Yep.
And Miles Straw. Is Miles Straw going to impact the postseason roster? Stay tuned for that tomorrow.
Yeah, I know. Everyone wants to talk Miles Straw all the time. Everyone's favorite outfielder.
Comments will be lit up with great Miles Straw
Oh,
comments.
I
I know they
know.
will be.
Nothing brings people together like Miles Straw. Thank you all for watching, reading, review, downloading, doing all your part. Thank you. Where numbers are trending back upwards, and we appreciate that. Thank you all, and go Guardians, go.